Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Reading Pet Peeves tag. This tag was created by Big Hard Books and Classics, and I'm getting the prompts from Steve Donahue's version of this tag. So I'll leave links to both videos in the show notes down below. Prompt number 1. Do you use or read along with audiobooks? No, I am not the biggest fan of audiobooks, so I don't listen to audiobooks at all. Prompt number 2, do you utilize your local library? Not anymore. For years before 2020, I did very frequently patronize my local library. Well, the Waco McLennan County Library system. There's what's currently the West Waco Library is the one that I went to for years. Because for a long time that was the closest library to me when I lived in Waco. But since I moved out of Waco, I still use that particular library because it's still technically the closest in the Waco McLennan County Public Library system to me. Although, of course, there is the local library that's actually just a short walk from me, but I haven't used it. I have fairly bad memories of that place. So yeah, so every few weeks I would take the bus to the local library and spend about an hour or two browsing the shelves, picking up books, trying books out, and then I'd wait for the bus to come and bring me back home. Waco has basically a rural part of their transit system where they'll send a bus or a car or van to satellite communities to Waco to pick up patrons to take them into Waco, or sometimes to appointments or what have you outside of the county, and then pick them back up. So kind of, if you don't have a car, or it's useful, although it's only to where you're going and back. You can't really use it to go to multiple appointments or errands. It's just the one, unless they're grouped together. So yeah, I would take the bus and sometimes be lucky enough not to have an hour-long tour coming back, which the bus sometimes did. And yeah, so I do that every 2 or 3 weeks. And then the pandemic hit. And with that, the library temporarily closed. So I pretty much relied on the books I had here in my personal library, which in the years since has ballooned. I did for a while use the e-library that my public library has. And I use that largely for, the BookTube prize. I was a judge on the nonfiction side in 2020 and 2021, and I decided I didn't want to buy the books myself. That if I could, I would use the library. Of course, the COVID-19 happened, and I had to use the library for some of that, or the library. And I'm not a huge fan of the particular e-library setup that my local library has. And I'm not particularly fond of ebooks anyway, so it's been about, I'd say about a year and a half since I actually used any of my local library's functions. Prompt number 3, do you DNF books? Yes, I am a healthy bailer, if not an excessive bailer. So far this year, I have bailed on 62 books, including 3 this weekend. I had a egregiously bad reading weekend, and I will rant about that during weekly reads. But I normally bail for roughly 2 reasons. Either the book's not doing it for me, I'm bored by it, it's too dense, too in the weeds too kind of fractured for me to really get into it, and I'll just bail on it because I'm bored and I have better things to do with my time than be bored. Or, and usually this is nonfiction, is that kind of bail. This other kind of bail is usually fiction. And that is there'll be a scene or a trope or an archetype or a cliche that will either throw me out of the book, incense me to no end. I mean, basically, one of my reading berserk buttons gets pushed, and I either basically bail in disgust or rage, or I'm thrown out of the book and I cannot find my way back in. And so I have to bail because I'm no longer enjoying the book, what I'm reading. So I do bail or DNF. Prompt number 4. Do you read multiple books at the same time? No, I read one book at a time. And then I move on to the next one once I finish or bail. Prompt number 5. Do you make time or have a specific time in your day devoted to reading? Yes, I do. I read in the early afternoons during the work week, Monday through Friday. I start reading in the early mid-afternoon for about 4.5 hours. Although I do take breaks to cook and have supper and stuff, but during that period, it's my work week reading period, although I will sometimes read a little bit earlier or a little bit later as circumstances dictate. If like I'm almost finished with a book or I have maybe like 100 pages to go, then I'll kind of read a little bit earlier or later. And then during the week, over the weekends, I try to read all day or as much of all day as I can. So the weekends are my really big reading period. Prompt number 5. Do you make time or, oh wait, that was already answered that question. Prompt number 6. Do you dog-ear books? No, I can't stand dog-eared books. Prompt number 7. Do you annotate your books? No, I can't stand that either. Particularly if it is very noticeable and excessive. I had a copy, my copy of Beloved by Toni Morrison is heavily annotated, and it is distracting, just absolutely distracting. Prompt number 8. How do you feel about spoilers? I'm cool with spoilers. I have no issue with spoilers. So that was the Reading Pet Peeves tag. If you would like to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged. And I'll be back tomorrow with another tag video. And then on Wednesday, I will be doing my August book haul. And then Thursday, I think I'll do either another tag video or I will do a reading plans for September. And then, of course, on Friday, I'll be doing weekly reads and maybe a video on Friday afternoon, depending. But anyway, BookTube, that's all I've got for today. So thank you. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.